Okay there, it's Julie the Whippy Chick here again, and today we're going to do a tutorial on the introduction of knitting. And so I have here these needles that were my grandmother's needles, and I just love to use her stuff. She's been gone for a long time, but I do love to use her old tools. So I'm going to use these old size 8 needles that she used to use. I'm only going to use 2. We're not doing any double pointed needles. It's kind of neat to look at the packaging though. 95 cents. I was looking to see if there was maybe a date, but I don't see any. Made in the USA is all it says. Okay, so we'll set that aside. And got some needles. Got some yarn. We're going to start off with a slip stitch as always, and I'm actually going to start with a cast on that my grandmother taught me when I first learned to knit. So here goes. Make your slip knot. I'll do that one more time. There is a video tutorial on how to make a slip knot 2 ways, the easy way and the hard way. Actually not hard at all, but less beginner, let's put it that way. So these needles actually have a point on each side. Most knitting, well, I won't say most, but many knitting needles have a stopper on one side so your stitches don't fall off. But I only intend to do about maybe 10 stitches on the needle, so I'm not going to need a stopper. Be able to keep it on there. So I'm going to slip my needle on there. I'm going to tighten it, but not too much. I want to have a little bit of space to insert my other needle. We're going to put our tail behind us. That's kind of funny. Put your tail to the back, right? That's where tails belong. And we're going to insert this needle into the loop while it's on this needle. So I'm going to turn that a little bit so you can kind of see there's a little bit of space there, and that's where we're going to insert our needle. We're going to come from the front and into the back, so it kind of makes an X. I hope you can see that. I'm going to do it again though. So we've got our needle over here. We're going to take this needle from our right hand and slip it under that loop and towards the back to make an X. Once we have it there, we're going to kind of hold those needles in place with our thumb and forefinger. And we're going to take our working yarn from under here, and we're going to wrap that working yarn over the back needle. And here's the really tricky part. You're going to pull it back towards you, and you're going to lift, oops, it's so fiddly to do slow, lift that up behind. So let's watch that again. If you've never done this before, it is going to take practice. I've been doing this since I was little, so it's a little easier for me, though it is harder to do it slow. But you're going to insert it behind that loop until you have an X. Hold it in place. Wrap your yarn over the back needle. I'm going to put my finger on there, kind of keep it from losing that yarn. We're going to pull that yarn up through. I'll show it to you again. Insert it underneath to make your X. Wrap your yarn over the back needle. Put your finger on top. Pull it back towards you. And now you have a loop on each needle. Just letting this car go by. I'm sitting in my bedroom and the window is near the road, so you get a lot of traffic noise. Okay, so I'm going to do that one more time and then we're going to move on to the next step. We're going to insert our needle in the back loop, in the back of the loop, wrap our yarn around, put our finger on there and push it back towards us, pull up that loop. Now the second step is we're actually going to turn this needle towards us and we're going to scoop up that loop and transfer it onto that needle. So then we'll have 2 loops on that needle. So let's see that again. Insert, wrap, push it back, turn, and scoop. Now I am going to show you that again because that's how we're going to put all of our stitches on here. I'd like to have about 10 stitches on the needles today. So insert, wrap, pull it through, and you can make this nice and long. You can make it as long as you want. I don't think we want it quite that long. Let's shorten that up a little bit. But making it long might make it a little easier to reach around and scoop that over onto your other needle. Let's do that again. Insert, wrap, push it back towards you, pull it a little bit longer, and put it on your needle. I can hear you now. What? How do I do that? It's fiddly. It takes practice. You just have to persevere and you will get it. I promise. It takes practice though. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches on our needle. Let's try again. Insert, wrap, push it back towards you, pull it kind of long, and scoop it up with your left hand. And again, insert, wrap, push it down, and scoop. Try it again. Insert your needle, wrap it, push it towards you, and scoop it up. How are we doing here? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do it a couple more times. Insert, wrap, pull it towards you, and scoop it up. One more time for 10. Insert, wrap it, pull it towards you, and scoop it up. The more you do this, the easier it will get, I promise. It'll get faster and faster. So we've got 10 stitches on our needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We just cast on. So now we're going to knit those stitches. And the movement for doing the knitting part is pretty much the same as casting on, with the exception of the last step. You're not going to do the last step. So here we go. We're going to insert our needle and we're going to wrap it, and we're going to pull up that loop, and instead of pulling it and turning it like we did before, we're going to leave it on there, and this guy is going to walk the plank. He's going off of the needle completely. We're just going to drop him and he's gone. Let's do that again. Insert, wrap, pull it through, and walk the plank. Jump off the cliff, fall out of the tree. However you want to think of it, whatever makes it easier. And this is the basic knit stitch. This is knitting. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog whining. He wants to be in here with me. His name is Willie, and he's so sweet, but he's noisy. So he was asked to leave politely. Okay. We're going to keep going. We're going to work our way through this row. We're going to insert, wrap, pull up our loop, and drop that stitch. Insert, wrap, pull up that loop, and drop it. It's really kind of like you're passing it over. You're making a stitch here with that wrap, and you're taking the wrap that you already did, and you're pulling it over the top, and then dropping it. I don't know if you can see that. You're making a new stitch every time you wrap, though. And that's one row down. So let's do another row. I'd like to do a few rows so that you can see the pattern that this is going to make and the fabric that we're creating. So insert, wrapping to create that new stitch, pulling that new stitch up, and dropping the old stitch. This does take a lot of practice, but it is a repetitive motion, so a little practice will go a long, long way, and you'll get smoother and faster every single time. Every row, every stitch is going to get easier and easier. Wrap it around, pull it through, and push it off. Wrap it around, pull it through, and push it off. It's almost like your hands are a little tiny loom, creating all those stitches. And we're starting to see a pattern here on our fabric that we're creating. Every time you start a row, you switch hands basically. We were like this. We always pass over the one with all the stitches back into our left hand. And then our right hand has the empty needle for now. And now we're going to fill it up. Pass it over. Yeah, you can look at it either way. You can either look at it as bringing it up, or you can look at it as passing it over. Either way, whatever works for you, whatever helps you to remember easier. after you've done it a few times. You'll get to the point where you don't need to say it over and over in your head. It'll become second nature. The biggest challenge for me doing these videos is to keep it in the frame. I tend to pull my work closer to me and it takes it out of the frame. I'm just going to do one more row so that we can kind of take a look at what this is creating. This is actually called the garter stitch. When you just knit every row, it creates the garter stitch. Okay. So if we take a look at our work, we can see what the garter stitch looks like. Basically, it creates all of these little waves here. And it's going to be like that on both sides. A lot of times with knitting, it looks different on one side than it does on the other. Well, in crochet as well. Sometimes it looks the same on both sides and sometimes it looks different. With the garter stitch, it's going to look the same on both sides. And you can use the garter stitch to make your first scarf. There's an idea. That'll give you lots of practice. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, please click like in the bottom and subscribe and give me some comments and tell me all of the things that you'd like to learn. Or maybe if you need help with some clarification, I can certainly clarify anything that you might have questions about. All right, have a great day, everybody.